Hello, well in this film we're looking at the stools, chairs and armchair competition entries from the Bodger's Ball. Now these are stools, chairs, armchairs made by members of the Association of Pole Lathe Turners and Green Woodworkers. So the items are handmade. They're made from green wood, i.e. from trees which have been felled very recently. And most of the components have been made on a pole lathe. So all the turned components, under the rules of the competitions, have to be turned on a pole lathe. So ash is quite a popular wood, as is elm for the seats. Anyway, the standard this year was very high, and there's a very good selection of entries. And here you're seeing some of the stools, and I particularly like that one with the heart in its base. It's always very interesting seeing the range of styles. And there's anything from the straightforward traditionals or copies through to people being fairly artistic and trying new approaches. And I personally always like to see chairs and stools where people have been a little bit arty. I mean, I do admire, there's a lovely one just coming into view there, which looks really nice. But one or two of the sort of slightly more quirky designs are quite interesting. I mean, for me, a stool has got to be structurally sound, which this one clearly is here. So I think that is personally the first requirement for me. If it's not structurally sound, I wouldn't particularly want it in my house. But that's the sort of test in a way. But then beyond that, it's if you've got lovely craftsmanship and you've got lovely design, what more could you ask for? And you see some of these, I mean, look at the wood on that one. It's beautiful. I think it's really nicely done. It's nice lines. It's fairly straightforward in terms of its sort of overall impression. But I don't think that's going to be a chair there which would cause concern to anyone. It's lovely, really nicely done and very well made indeed. And it's interesting because you get different ideas. People research individual chairs, they try to copy chairs, or a bit like I did with the Sussex chair, and here we have the Sutherland chair just in view. But it is interesting seeing what members come up with. Now the judging on all of these, it's by the members. So it's similar to the Spoons and Treen film that I put up where I explained the judging arrangements, but in a nutshell, everyone who comes along has a chance to vote for their favourite chair. And then the chair with the most votes is the winner. So it's a very democratic process. There were some very good seats this year, and this is a case in point. Some nice woven seats, and I was quite impressed with those. Sometimes people used the natural grain of the wood to bring out features. And we saw that with a few actually, where there were cracks which had been joined with ebony splices, where there were holes, natural knots in the wood, and people had made those into a decorative feature. Which is, well, it's good fun, isn't it? Someone will look at that in a few years' time and think, when was that chair made? It would sort of look like an old traditional chair, but actually, you know, this is another nice one. Look at that lizard that's been carved on. A nice little bit of detail there, and very well done indeed. Nice line on that chair. It is interesting though seeing different designs and different approaches. As with the other competition entries, these all had cards attached to say what woods have been used, what materials have been used, and whether any power tools have been used, because they have to be declared. So in this case we've got a bandsaw being used and a drum sander by the looks of it. So power tools are allowed, you just have to declare them. I do rather like those bark seats. That's rather a nice little bit of seat work there. Probably using elm bark or chestnut bark to actually make that nice weave. And it is quite attractive. Here it comes into view, and it's elm bast. Yes, there's elm. It's the layer below the bark. I say bark, it should be bast, because that is the correct term. So you basically peel off the bark with the bast layer just below it. So I think it's best done in spring normally to get the right moisture content, and then you peel off the bark and you're left with the basswood, which is then woven into the seat. Something I would like to have a go at sometime. The other class, apart from the side chair and stool, we have the armchair. And this one was quite an impressive bit of turning because it's a spiral turn. I would be interested to know how that was done on the pole lathe. It is possible. There are different ways that people try to do it on pole lathes, and it looks very skillful, very nicely done. Again, something else to have a go at. This chair was actually the best in show, and it's lovely. It's a nice line, it's nicely made, and it's got nice detailing on it. I thought that was a very nice chair indeed. It's all personal though, isn't it? Someone else might see it and think, oh no, not so keen on, a particular aspect. So that's, one person's view, but the overall public did vote this one as best in show, and I think with good reason. A continuous armchair coming into view here. Now these aren't so popular in the UK as in the States. I personally like them. I've had a go at one. I think this one has got a better bow than my one had, if I'm honest. It's a nice piece of work. The oak in this country is not so easy to bend as in the States. I mean, you get lovely long, tall, white oak, red oak in the States. The oak here tends to be a bit more tricky. If you're using oak, if you're using ash, not so much of a problem. These chairs are all put out for display at the Bodgers Ball, so people enjoy coming along, looking at them, and then the competition results are actually announced on the Sunday morning. So you have Saturday afternoon to vote basically and to admire all the different designs, and then Sunday morning there's the prize giving and the results are announced. And if you get a first, second or third placing, then you get a small cash prize. And of course the prestige of getting that placing. This is another nice one, nice bit of seat weaving there, and a nice delicate line on this one. So yes, I didn't enter one myself this year. I did last year, as you probably know. I got a third on the Glasgow chair. So it's always good to have a go at these things. I suppose I've been a bit busy with leather work this year. I do like these Welsh chairs, and I think at some point the problem with chairs is actually having room in your house. For lots of chairs. I'm beginning to run out of space, but maybe a Welsh chair, and that looks like a snail's shell in that knot, so a bit of fun there, enjoying the quirkiness of the wood. And of course, all different shapes and sizes, some with the bark left on, some not, and this is the fun. I have a slight sort of vague ambition one of these days to do a chair where it has blacksmithing, leatherwork and woodwork all into it, bringing in all the different disciplines. And I sort of toy with that little idea as a project now and again, but it's great fun, isn't it? You look at these and it makes you want to get the tools out and have a go at something.
The best in show.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.